My name is Christian Paget, and today I will be informing you of the merits of increasing the federal minimum wage to $15, or what is considered a livable wage here in the United States of America. The cost of living here in America has increased dramatically in the past couple of decades. However, the wages that Americans earn for their labor has mostly stagnated. According to Investopedia, an item that in 1990 would cost someone $20 would now cost them $31. Now, while I know this doesn't seem dramatic at first, let's break it down and do a little bit of math with that. The average $5 item, a meal at McDonald's or a matinee ticket to a movie that you wanted to see, would now cost $2.25 extra. Again, that seems small, right? It's not when you consider the living wage has not been raised to adequately match the growing inflation. The average amount of rent due in 1990 was about $465, according to World Population Review, meaning you would have to work around 126 hours a month at minimum wage to meet that amount. The normal American works around 40 hours a week, while 126 isn't closer to 30 hours a week, so it was a little bit less than it would be now. There are 672 hours in the shortest month, February, and that leaves plenty of time for hobbies and other free time in 1990. People weren't confined by working nearly half of their days in order to get by, and were able to do things that they rather enjoy much more than just going straight to work and coming home. Now look at 2020. The median cost of rent for a one-bedroom apartment is $1,078 per month. The federal minimum wage in 2020 is $7.25. You'd have to work over 149 hours alone just to cover rent. Now, this does not account for the rise in gas prices, taxes, food, and utilities, which have all gone up with inflation while the wages have stagnated. The federal minimum wage has not increased since July of 2009, and in the past 11 years, we've seen the poor and impoverished Americans, many of whom work these minimum wage jobs, struggle to get by while companies and politicians increase their profits and make it harder for average Americans to make ends meet. And so the solution to this, one that is already being employed in some parts of the United States, including Florida, is to increase the federal minimum wage to $15 an hour. Now, while this seems like a dramatic increase in money that companies will have to pay their employees, it makes a lot of sense when you look at it from a practical standpoint. From 1990 to 2009, the federal minimum wage doubled, as did the cost of living. However, from 2009 to 2020, the cost of living has rose, while the federal minimum wage has not. If the federal minimum wage were to double, we would be repeating the same process we did from 1990 to 2009. Then many people believe that this will hurt small business owners who already struggle to get by, but I disagree. According to EPI.org, raising the minimum wage would put an extra $2,800 into the pockets of minimum wage workers. This is important because this boost in wages would also lead to a boost in spending and divesting back into the economy. When people have disposable income, they typically spend that income, helping both corporations and small businesses alike through purchases made with the disposable income. Others argue that wages would lead to less job positions being available, but they don't take into account that people are already unable to afford healthcare and housing and food already due to the fact that their wages are not totaling the cost that these things represent. Most places implementing higher wages are also doing so in an approach that gradually increases them over time to help ease businesses into it. This would allow them time to work out plans on how to balance revenue with the value of their workers, such as slightly raising the prices of their meals or looking at how much money they can take away from what they're making in business-wise versus how much they can actually pay their workers, which should be a living wage. Florida, my home state, has a minimum wage of $8.56. It is $1.31 higher than the federal minimum wage. But despite this, the average minimum wage is about the average amount of rent, is about $1,128, and the cost of food and healthcare for a 21-year-old in Florida equals about $535, totaling about $1,763. If you add luxuries like gas, utilities, phone bill, and car insurance, which equals $677.05 altogether, that total cost of living without any extra costs equals around $244,000, which is this estimation is done by The Street. Now compare that to the minimum wage of $8.56. A person working 40 hours a week would make $342, tax withstanding, a week, for a total of $1,369.6 per month. You would have to work nearly double the amount of hours a 40-hour work week, approximately 286 hours, to cover what you need just to survive off of minimum wage. That would mean 70-hour work weeks for those working at minimum wage. Now, according to Foreign USA, Florida will have a $15 minimum wage by 2026 in a gradual phasing process that should help ease those mom and pop businesses, those small businesses, into it so that they're not hurt and burdened by the fact that they have to pay their workers now a livable wage and not take away most of what they earn, the fruits of their labor. Doing the math, someone working a minimum wage job would have to work 40 hours a week to cover the cost, dramatically less than the amount needed. So $15 times 8 is $120. So this math, it would allow them, the math works enough to where the people would not have to work over 40 hours a week just to get by. Overall, this issue is both an economic one and a humanitarian one. America, one of the most richest and powerful nations on the planet, should not have a large group of Americans, a large group of citizens who cannot afford to put food on their table and pay for life-saving medication. Nobody should have to work 70 hours a week to afford shelter and sustenance, and it shouldn't be a controversial position either. I do hope you'll join me and fight for a $15 federal minimum wage and better quality of life for all, as America was created as and should remain as the land of opportunity.